irritated. The bags underneath, badly swollen. "We need to move quickly," he said. "Not a lot of time." "What's going on?" I asked. "Follow me." We walked through another set of glass doors, then down a small hallway to the right and around a sharp corner. An impressive amount of marble and limestone had been meticulously laid on the floor and along the walls. The enormous windows several feet above our heads allowed ambient light to rush in and boost the dim glow from the gold sconces perched high on the otherwise barren walls. A plainclothes officer stood guard outside of a wide black door with a shiny brass 1W centered above an ornate design. He opened the door for us to pass. We stepped inside, and immediately I was struck by the sheer immensity of the apartment. Voices from the other end of the dark hallway softly echoed in our direction. "A call came into the district that an older man was unresponsive in his bed and likely needed assistance," Burke said. "They gave the address and apartment number, then hung up. A patrol car was dispatched. It took the officer several minutes to gain access to the building, but another resident eventually buzzed him in. He arrived at this ground floor apartment and found the door slightly open. He knocked and called out, but no one answered. He entered and walked around and finally located the primary suite, where he found the deceased. He'd been dead for some time. No chance of reviving him. He found the man's pants on the floor, retrieved his wallet, and called in the name. The patrolman who found him was young. Didn't recognize Kantor's name, but someone on the desk did. Everything went into hyperdrive. I got the call from HQ to get over here, take care of things, and keep a lid on it. Kantor was one of Bailey's biggest donors." I wasn't surprised. Mayor Bailey's political allies were as varied and rich as his list of enemies. This was how he conducted business, intervening at will, never afraid to ignore protocol or ethical guidelines, circumventing the law when it served his purposes. In his mind, the police force worked for him first, then the good of the city afterward. "All makes sense," I said. "So why am I here?" "The son wants to talk to you." I didn't even know he had a son. "He wants to hire you." "To do what?" "I'll let him talk for himself. He's downstairs waiting for you in the wine cellar. But I want you to see the body first. They're almost done processing the scene. Then we're getting him out of here." "Where you taking him?" "To his estate up in Kenilworth. For the purposes of the media and everyone else who's not here, that's where he died." I followed Burke through the large rooms that had been sparsely but expensively decorated. They were dark and cold, as if an interior designer had gone about their work for the sole purpose of being featured in a design magazine, without any regard for the practicality of someone having to live there. The primary suite sat in the back of the apartment. An officer gave us booties and gloves to put on just before we entered. We walked through a carpeted sitting room with a couple of matching chairs, a large chaise lounge, and a television monitor the size of a billboard. We passed through a set of wide double doors and into a barrage of camera flashes that popped every few seconds. 3 officers stood along the perimeter of the room. A massive bed stood in the middle of it all, underneath a domed ceiling with a colorful fresco painted underneath it. We approached the foot of the bed. Kantor was stretched out in the center of the bed, his hands and feet individually spread, each tied to a post. Besides the ruby-colored women's panties, he was completely naked. A forest of unruly curly gray hair worked its way across his sagging chest and downward until it stopped just above his protuberant abdomen. His legs were those of a prepubescent boy, completely shaved, very wide and skinny. His face had fallen to his left side, his eyes partially open. A yellowish fluid had dried around his lips and pooled on the white satin sheets. His horseshoe smattering of hair had been neatly trimmed, and his bald dome had a couple of small older scars where it looked like he had been nicked while shaving. Kantor bore no resemblance to the powerful and vibrant man who, despite reaching his upper 70s, remained a social bon vivant, donating generously to almost any charity that asked, and a fixture at sporting events around the city. The newspapers loved him because he always had a good quote at the ready, and he was a fierce defender of Chicago, constantly calling